हेलो एंड वेलकम टू वन यूनाइटेड। माय नेम इज पारितोष जोशी और मेरे साथ है अंशुमन जोशी और वली सिद्दीकी। हम बात करने वाले हैं मैनचेस्टर यूनाइटेड के बारे में। यूरोपा लीग का मैच, अगला मैच जो है वो ओमानिया के अगेंस्ट है। और पिछला मैच जो गया वो एवर्टन को हमने हरा दिया गुडिसन पार्क पर। और काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग रिजल्ट था वो। शुरुआत खासा अच्छी नहीं हुई। शुरुआत हमारी ओमानिया के अगेंस्ट भी अच्छी नहीं रही थी, लेकिन दोनों ही गेम्स में हमारे लिए रिजल्ट पॉजिटिव रहा। अभी हम एवर्टन के बारे में ज़्यादा बात करेंगे शुरुआत में। तो माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज टू अंशुमन। What do you see in the performance against Everton, which was lacking? Because I saw some things that I was quite pleased with the Eric Ten Hag's tactics.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, what did you see specifically in the Everton game?
What I liked most about the fact was that Casemiro started, and for the first time in 3 years, we had a number six that could actually play in that position for like 90 minutes. So, and that is something that I have been wanting to see ever since he arrived, because I know that he's not a Ten Hag player, but he has been brought in for a reason. He is a stopgap solution, and embarrassing as that is important for us. So, we saw him doing the things that we have needed a number six to do for so long, and even the line breaking pass that he sent to Cristiano on the counter which he converted, those are the kind of things that you want your player to do. And he's been getting a lot of flack for the ball he gave away, which was eventually converted by Alex Iwobi. But that is a debate that can be had, because you can either focus on the fact that Iwobi converted a very rare goal and he himself is a very rare goal scorer, or you can focus on the fact that Casemiro made a mistake. It's your prerogative. But overall, I think he had a good game, which is something that was very important for me, because again, number six, that position is something that we have needed reinforcement for a long time. And if he can become a regular starter for his team, I think it helps everyone. I think it helps him to be able to set up more teams more pragmatically going forward. I think it allows the creative players like Ericsson and Bruno to play more up the pitch. Even the likes of Fredge and McTominay can now play in a number eight role that is more suited to them and their respective profiles than the thing that they have had to do for the past 4 years. So overall, it was that was the one thing that really I liked. Otherwise, the result was very important because Everton have been defensively quite solid recently. So the fact that we were able to score three goals against them, although two were counted, that was more than enough for us, and a victory was important. And yes, we took the important points at a position and in a place where we usually have a very hard time. So that was also quite important to remember. So yeah, all round fair positives for me. I like Cristiano's past two performances as well. So science things are looking up for United, and can't wait to see how things develop with Casemiro on the pitch.
Okay, same question to Wali. What specifically you liked about the Everton game? और स्पेशली मेरे को लग रहा है कि क्रिस्टियानो रोनाल्डो के लिए भी कुछ स्टेटमेंट्स होंगे, बिकॉज ओमानिया के अगेंस्ट ही लुक अ शैडो ऑफ हिज फॉर्मर सेल्फ। ऐसा लग रहा था एट टाइम्स कि बहुत इजी चांसेस कन्वर्ट नहीं हो पा रहे हैं। ही हिमसेल्फ लुक फ्रस्ट्रेटेड। व्हाट डिड यू सी इन द एवर्टन गेम वाज दैट वाज डिफरेंट?
Well, first and foremost, resilience. That is something which I saw from this United team, which is actually quite important because usually when we're a goal down, we are not so optimistic of coming back and winning the game. And that was the case against Everton away from home, and especially, when it's a hostile environment. So it was a really good performance, really good show of performance by everyone over there. And especially if you consider the manner in which we lost to Manchester City, that thumping 6-3 defeat, and then to bounce back with a 2-1 defeat against Everton. Mind you, let's remind everyone that Everton has the best defensive record in the Premier League so far this season, and they had gone 6 games unbeaten. So this is not the Everton of last season that we're talking about. Yes, they might have had their struggles, but they look more like a unit this season. And in spite of that, I really feel that we played our best football in the first half this season. Even if you look at the possession, at certain stages of the game, Everton looked really clueless. They did not know how to get back the ball. They did not know how to string passes. And you have to give credit where credit is due to Eric Ten Hag. You can slowly and steadily see his blueprint being laid on the pitch over there. And even when I had recently saw a Twitter thread, and someone had actually done a really good analysis over there. When we were having the ball, we shifted to a 3-6-1 formation. So there
Three
were
one
like
six.
3-1-6. I beg your pardon, with the three centre backs, and then you have Casemiro as the holding midfielder and six attackers right up top, which created a lot of problems for the Everton players. And yes, Casemiro, like, some people might have a divided opinion on him that he hasn't started off really well, but let's not forget that this was his first start in the Premier League. This was his first 90 minutes for Manchester United in the Premier League. And in spite of that, I really feel that I did see some really good positives over there. And there's a reason why he represented Real Madrid for such a long time. And it's gonna take a little bit more time for him to get settled in. We have to be patient, but yes, it was an impressive performance from him. Well, Anthony Martial, he got off injured. Provided an assist, got off injured. That's a big problem. He's an important piece to the Ten Hag puzzle. He needs to be there, but we really need to get a striker now that he's injury prone. But kudos to Cristiano Ronaldo. The chips are kind of against him. There are a lot of people who are talking flack about him. But in spite of that, he has displayed some really good performances. He has taken it up to the chin, a really good goal, some good holder play as well, some good defensive duties as well. So Cristiano Ronaldo, all in all, has done really well. And yeah, I'm really happy that we got that win. And that Rashford goal should have stood, man. I was really pissed after that. VAR is a joke, and by now the people who are behind those monitors, I do not know like what are they currently doing, because that was clear as daylight. Unfortunate to see that. Luckily, it wasn't Pickford who ended up scoring that header towards the end, because I seriously would have lost it. Because we've seen it more often than not. Everton and their late scares. That's been the issue with United. But yeah, thankfully we've got 3 points and we move ahead.
Okay, so we got 3 points. It was a good result. You talked about a certain Anthony Martial and his injury woes that continued against Everton as well. We'll talk about him now for a bit, and how important he is to Manchester United. How this is a problem that United are facing. That Martial is injured once again, and I'll go to Anshuman first again because you already touched upon it. We'll get a detailed opinion from you. अंशुमन क्या लग रहा है बिकॉज दिस इज समथिंग दैट हैज बिकम द नॉर्म जब से एंथनी मार्शियल एक सीजन सोल्शा के अंडर जो बहुत अच्छा खेला जिसमें रैशफोर्ड और मार्शियल बहुत अच्छा खेले दोनों उसके बाद से और इवन बिफोर दैट आफ्टर द वेनाल सीजन ही वाज इंजर्ड कॉन्स्टेंटली बीच बीच में इंजरीज इवन विद द सोल्शा सीजन आई रिमेंबर हिम बीइंग इंजर्ड फॉर अ लॉन्ग वाइल और ये इंजरीज दीज आर नॉट ऐसा नहीं है कि विद टाइम ये कम हो रही हैं is this because he was played aggressively as a youngster या वो अपनी फिजिकल मतलब ही इज जस्ट फ्रेजाइल फिजिकली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग क्योंकि ये बहुत ज्यादा हो गया और दिस इज गोइंग टू बी अ प्रॉब्लम फॉर यूनाइटेड
So, my instinct feels like going back to the time when United had issues with the medical department anyway. Because if we are to use another example, I mean, even Romelu Lukaku in the 2 seasons he was here, he was massively overweight. And when he went to Inter, the first thing that he found out was that he was consuming food in a way that he should not have been consuming. He has gastro issues, and that needed to be sorted out. Something that was never flagged up by the United medical department. Then you have the case of Paul Pogba, who needed to have his own doctor, his own personal physical team to help him out with the knee surgery and everything. Something that was not being flagged up by United, and we even have the case of players being made to play through a lot of injuries when maybe a more stern medical department, on a more modern medical department will tell the manager to not play the player. The examples of being Harry Maguire, who for 2 seasons played through the injury. We know very well how much he kept
Rashford
taking
even
to just play through the pain. Rashford did the same thing, kept delaying his injury, leading up to an eventual surgery that needed to be taken. So, because the medical history of United players in recent time has been very dodgy anyway, it doesn't really surprise me. It worries me, yes, but it doesn't surprise me that Sir Martial has been facing similar issues again, because not only with managerial preferences, he has had that issues as well regarding for what manager wants to play him and what does not want to play, who doesn't want to play him. But he also has had these where I fear that a lot of underlying medical issues that he has had in the past have not really been properly flagged and diagnosed and subsequently treated. And I just hope for his sake, which that it's not that big a deal. Even right now, he came back from an injury. He was brought back in the City game, played very well. But again, he had an injury in the warm up. Some This was flagged up in the warm up, and yet he continued to be in the starting lineup. Had to be taken off after 30 minutes, which is worrying because again, the same patterns that we know about Medical United's medical history in the past, in the recent past, have flagged up again. So I just hope that changes, and whatever issues Martial is having, he's able to sort them out in time, and it doesn't eventually end up being a big thing, because that is not just something that has happened with him. It also has happened with United players in the past as well.
Okay, so yes, this is a problem that Manchester United have. Uh, Continuing on this, do you think an overall is in place for the medical team as well? Because this has been quite an issue and it was flagged upon by multiple players. And we were talking about this, I think, a season before when Romelu Lukaku left and he became the top scorer for Inter. We talked about this, and this has been the case for a while, and this shouldn't be happening in the first place. This is not something that a top club like Manchester United should be dealing with. That medical professionals are not flagging things that should be flagged. They are not helping the players in the right manner. Whereas other teams like even City have a proper system in place where players get injured but they recover very well. Even Liverpool, I think, have dealt with their injuries pretty well, especially with the kind of football they play, especially with the intensity which with they play. There have been injury problems, but they have dealt with it significantly better. Thiago is now back on the pitch. Dean Henderson is now back on the pitch. Although their results are not coming, that's another issue. But injury-wise, they are managing things better, I think. But United, this has been a constant issue for the past few years. Do you think this needs to be looked upon, especially with someone like Eric Ten Hag, who is a system-oriented man who needs everything in order for him to go like this cannot be happening at a top club like United.
Based on the evidence that we have in front of us, yes, I think a big overhaul is required, because you have teams around you that are very sophisticated, and they have dedicated departments inside their medical staff. So when you are dealing with that kind of situation, and look, player welfare is already very much big an issue, because players are being run to the ground by having to play 60 to 70 matches every year with little regard to what they are going through physically and mentally. So at least on a club level, it is imperative upon us at every for every club to at least look after their players and make sure that at least they don't get injured, and that injury doesn't lead to long term issues. So yes, this problem at United has sustained for long enough for an overhaul to be required.
Wally, now coming to you because you will have something to say about Anthony Martial specifically. The injuries are another department. What do you want to say about this whole situation regarding Martial?
It's just sad to see him this way. You could see clearly from preseason that he has been one of the key players for United. I think two of the most important players for Eric Ten Hag's system at this moment of time was Rafael Varane and Anthony Martial, and both of them, although like touchwood, Rafael Varane has been quite fit this season, and both of them have proven to be injury prone in the past. As for Anthony Martial in particular, yeah, it's just sad to see. And even if you remember his interview recently, in that he said that Rashford and I, both of us were basically playing through our injuries for large parts of the season. And when we were fit, we were not playing. So, it's been the previous 2 years have been, it's been quite bizarre to be honest. There were quite a few players who were playing through injuries, including Paul Pogba. If you remember, it was in the Carling Cup. He had a sore knee or something, and he featured in the Carling Cup game against Rochdale, if I'm not mistaken, and he got injured again. So yeah, this has been a major issue with Manchester United. If we talk about the medical staff, if we talk about the management, yeah, needs to be an overhaul. Even when we talk about the like we said, like Glazers are a different issue. The reason why we call out the Glazers is because not there are plenty of people who are saying that why are you behind the Glazers? We're talking about the rival fans over here because they are actually buying you some high class players. But the reason for that is that not everything, whatever if you get something shiny, that doesn't mean everything is, it's going to be at the top again, because the things who are making the decisions from behind the scenes, those also have have to be changed at some point of time. Whether we talk about the managers, whether we talk about the medical team, whether we talk about the stadium itself, there are plenty of problems right now at Manchester United going on, and this is why we need football people over here. Even if you look at when Ralph Ragnick took over United, he was quite surprised that there hasn't been a sports psychologist in this club, because it's something which is quite common in Germany and other clubs as well in England. So yeah, we have been. Although we might say that we have the best players across the globe, we are getting them. We are getting the star attractions, but on certain occasions, on certain stages, we just haven't been able to deliver, and that's been the case. And for Anthony Martial, well, it's just sad, and that this is going to be the case with Martial. He just reminds me of another Usman Dembele at this stage of time, and we all want him to be fit. But yeah, we I think missed out on the summer by not signing centre forward. Clearly, Eric Ten Hag, he had his problems. You could say with Cristiano Ronaldo, him not featuring the preseason, because of which he didn't start. Now he is, but clearly he wants a different kind of a centre forward. We should have got it in the summer. Hopefully, we might change in January and we might get someone, and that probably might turn our fortunes again. But yeah, as of now, he is our important. He is an important player for Ten Hag system, but he's not going to be available 24/7 for him. So yeah, that's a major problem.
Yeah, so that's the case with Anthony Martial. I was talking more about his injury because this has been an issue, but I think we'll have to just wait and see how this happens. This continues because he himself must be frustrated because the look on his face when he got off was not something you want to see
Hmm.
from a player who is supposed to be a key figure in the team. He was disappointed that he has to go off again. He's not getting minutes under his belt, and that is something needed, especially for a centre forward of his caliber, because he is looking good. He's looking good in this system. He's scoring goals. He's creating goals for the team, and for him to not feel happy is something that we don't want to see. Moving on, Uh, let's talk about uh, Glazers out because that is apparently trending again. Jim Ratcliffe has said that he wanted to buy the Glazers, but buy the club from the Glazers. But he said that if it's not available for sale, he can't really buy the club. That I think I'm not exactly quoting his statement, but that was along the lines of what was said. Anshuman, how do you think this will change, or do you think this will change? Because we are seeing this trend again and again come up. But this has been the case for the past 12 years. Do you think there are any chances that United are going to sell? Also, Sir Jim has said that paying that kind of money for a club also requires the team to be in a winning position. This team that Manchester United, the brand that Manchester United have not won something in a long while. They have not won the Premier League in a decade. So he's right on his part. Do you think this will change? Because statements like these almost make it seem like United are not going to change their ways anytime soon.
I don't see it changing. That's my short answer. And look, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, as we is being asked these questions because he did show an interest in buying the club. He's known to be a club fan, and because it's Manchester United. So anything you put, if you want to just sell your brand, you just put Manchester United's name on it, and it will sell like wildfire. So there is that. And the reason I don't see that's a good point that you have raised about the what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said regarding the club need to being in a strong position, because that's what the one thing about buying a football club that many people just don't think about too much. That it's not only important for you to have the capital to buy the club, you also need to have the capital and the resources and the intent to continuously pump the capital back into the club so as to make a sustainable team out of it, regarding whatever your aims are. And United already rarely do that. But again, the point that he has raised, that this needed to be a case, and United are obviously not in a strong position because for reasons that we already know and have discussed. So the reason I don't see Glazers changing their mind is because over the last 10 years, the what Woodward has done for them is he has created a financial model that is very not reliant to as much as the United's on-pitch success as the Glazers would need. Because otherwise, you look at the amount of money they pocket every season, and this season it was reported to be 30, someone 30, 36 million, and only 78% of that goes to the Glazers, because that's the amount of ownership they hold at Manchester United. And every quarter, somewhere around 7 to 8 million at an average is something that they are pocketing. And when you look at their initial investment into the club, which was somewhere around 270 million pounds, they broke even on that just last year. So they have barely started making money from this business that they invested in 17 years ago, and the club has a debt of net debt of over half a billion, and it's a manageable debt. It is something that United have been able to generate enough money. The loan has been refinanced 4 times to bring the interest payment down to somewhere around 20 million. It means that United have also spent over a billion in just paying that loan back, and the debt still remains half a billion. So the anger needs to be there still among the fan base. But those are just a few reasons as to why I cannot see the Glazers selling anytime soon, because they are not going to sell the club without settling that debt, and they would want the other person to settle that debt for them. So that leaves you with an initial price of 4 to 6 billion pounds, and that is the asking price. So that is what will at least get the Glazers talking. They need to fill their money. That's all they want about in this whole business. That we know. So that is one thing that needs to be kept in mind, and because that is not changing anytime soon, and I don't see anyone bringing that kind of capital to a club that is not currently in a very strong situation. So which is why I don't see that thing changing anytime soon. So yeah.
Okay, Wally, same question to you. Do you see things changing? We tweeted this about on our Twitter as well. He said
Hmm.
that the Glazers brothers are one of the nicest people he's met, and this and that, but they don't want to sell. What do you have to say about this and the whole situation? Do you think this will change in the near future, or this is just the fans being angry, and this will subside if United win something, and it will continue this way again?
Well, to be honest, I also feel that like it's not going to be anytime soon when the Glazers actually leave our club. But the good thing is, you could say that for the very first time after a really long time, we are seeing some talks from behind the scenes, be it from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, be it the protests that are happening before every game at Old Trafford. That is also something which is quite significant. Other than that, there was also a report, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, in which the Newcastle owner had mentioned one of the hierarchical people from the Newcastle staff had said that of the new owners, that he had said that uh, one particular club in England had mentioned that they would be willing to sell their club for 690 or 680 million, was it? Approximately, it was close to that. And I have this feeling that it was Manchester United. And today there is this report that the Glazers have said that if they get 10 billion euros, then they will be likely to sell. So, there are contradictory reports. I have this feeling that Glazers, although they might not be selling it now, but they are definitely looking into it. The reason why I say that is because they have a lot of investment to do as well. Because if you look at the interviews of some of the fans from Manchester, they have more often than not complained about the facilities at Old Trafford, Carrington as well, and that is turning out to be a major problem for the Glazers. And especially when those fans are 80,000 fans on a regular basis are chanting against you, I think that is something which will entice you to actually sell the club. So not now, probably not now. As of now, Jim Ratcliffe has clearly mentioned that, but somewhere down the line, probably in the next 4 to 5 years, that is something which we might expect. But as of now, I think Manchester United is a cash cow for them. It has always been a cash cow for them. If you have the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, if you have Rafael Varane, now Casemiro, they will, in spite of all the negatives that they might be facing, and rightfully so, but let's not forget they're still getting the money. And like Manchester United is a club which is self-sufficient. Even if the Glazers leave tomorrow, they can generate revenue on their own. Yes, they will definitely be they will definitely need some money from the outside as well, but they're still self-sufficient. They're a club which is with a global network which is unmatchable at this moment of time. So yeah, speaking about the Glazers and Jim Ratcliffe, it was disappointing to read that Jim Ratcliffe has mentioned that, yeah, they're not in the mood. But there's no smoke without fire. I honestly feel that somewhere down the line, being a conspiracy theorist on my own, I just feel that probably there might come a time that they will. they will sell. So yeah, not now, but somewhere down the line in 4 to 5 years.
In 4 to 5 years, Wally feels that there will be a time when the Glazers would sell. Anshuman doesn't feel that way, and I also don't think they'll sell this easily. It's just that they want to inflate the value of the club, and once United wins something, they will want that to be matched. If they get like a ridiculous amount, that then it makes sense. But the only one that could have paid that was the Saudis that bought Newcastle, and I don't think anybody else is going to pay that ridiculous amount. So this is going to be uh, the continuation of what has happened for United until they run the club to the ground. They have not won anything for like 20, 30 years, and then it'll be like the club is dead, the fans are gone, then something might happen. But I don't think up until the time Glazers are making money, they are taking out the dividends, they are not going to sell, because this is a huge cash outlet for them, and they're not going to sell this season. That's what I feel. Okay, so enough about this. Let's talk about UEL, and will there be a proper game at Old Trafford where we dominate the opposition? Because when we went away, it was not looking like that. It was uh, it was a tough condition because the home fans of Omonia have certainly did their trick for the club, and they pushed the club to a level which they normally wouldn't have played at. But that is something that United need in their side now, and they have it at Old Trafford. Uh, the game is tomorrow at night. How do you feel it will go with the United playing against Omonia?
Do I start?
Yeah,
Well, first and foremost, to those people who are actually mocking the Europa League, you know the chances of the Europa League becoming the new prestigious European, it can be as good as the Champions League at this moment of time. The reason why I say that is because when I look at the table right now, you see Ajax is third, Leverkusen is third, Atletico Madrid is fourth in their group, Barcelona is third in their group. Then you've got AC Milan, which is who are third in their group. Then you have Sevilla, who have won the most number of Europa Leagues. They're on third. Then you have Juventus on third as well. So we were celebrating in a way that we are in the Europa League, but it's becoming much more difficult to actually reach the pinnacle at the end of the day. But yeah, it's becoming that sort of a competition. So yeah, talking about the game against Omonia, I think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I honestly feel that United are going to dominate them. Um, the away fixture was a weird one in a sense because we should have closed the game much earlier. We had plenty of chances, and we conceded a silly goal up to like at the beginning. But however, we did show some good character, some good substitutes. By the way, Eric Ten Hag's substitution game is actually quite. You have to say it's commendable because it's been working wonders for him recently, and I feel that it's going to be a high scoring game. Like in spite of it being 3-2, the scoreline did not indicate the entire story against Omonia. I feel that the Old Trafford crowd are going to be up for it. Omonia, if I'm pronouncing them right. They will be nervy at this, and there will be some adrenaline. But looking at the star power and looking at the way that we're finally getting the confidence to play positive, proactive football, I honestly feel that it's going to be a I wouldn't say walk in the park. I don't want it to actually bite me up in the ass, but I would say that it should be a comprehensive win for United probably. So yeah, that's how it is, and we need to string up as many wins as possible. This we haven't drawn a game so far this season. Am I right? So it's been that
yeah.
kind
I
of a
don't think
season. No, we haven't.
we have not drawn.
We've either lost, be it in the Europa League, be it in the Premier League. So yeah, it's an exciting time to be a
We
United
have
fan.
either won or we have been thrashed.
We've been thrashed. Yeah, thrashed is the right word. We've either won or we've been humiliated. But yeah, it's good to see some character from the team, and I'm positive for tomorrow. I don't think it should be an issue.
Okay, Anshuman, how do you feel about the Europa League game? And regarding the whole Europa League, how will it progress for United? And what do you see Ten Hag's plans for this particular tournament and this particular game?
I mean, this is a very tricky one leading into this fixture, especially because ideally, I would say that if United are to look at their Champions League chances, winning the Europa League would be much easier than ending top four. If you would have asked me at the start of the season, and even right now,
Yeah,
United the Europa League situation is quite delicate because they are not on top of the table. Real Sociedad
yeah,
are they have won all three of their matches, and the thing to keep in mind is that the second place team in the group stage does not qualify for the knockout straight away. They are going to have to play a playoff with the third place
yeah,
teams. You look at the third place teams that Wally have mentioned, like Juve are
yeah.
currently there. And if they end up in the Europa League, Allegri will be sacked, and
Barca,
they will be
Barca there as well.
they
Mm.
will bring a manager who will make them play well. Barca are currently there, and while they do have their issues, these are very strong squad playing in the Champions League for a season, for a reason. And Ajax are there, and there are a lot of other examples of the
AC
teams that we can
Milan,
mention.
Sevilla.
Even the group that has Club Brugge playing because they are on fire. They are
Yeah,
playing
they are on
top
top.
of
They are on top.
yeah,
Three and three wins. Yeah.
which means that one another big team is going to slip down into the playoff for the Europa League. So United need to
Mm.
win this game. They need to win the group, which means they need to win their next three matches to make sure of that. But again, it's not easy for Ten Hag to have a very to have his first choice 11 play tomorrow because again United's fixtures that are coming on the along the horizon in the Premier League are again not looking good because Newcastle United are very great, very well playing team, and on their wings they have good players in
I'll
Samatsima
just
and Almiron, and they will exploit our flanks, especially in this system that we saw past Everton. So they have a very tough line of fixtures coming up in the Premier League. So we can't afford to lose any ground in the Europa League either. So this is a very tricky phase coming up. So again, with the injuries and everything, I think it is very very hard. And what I don't see this
I'll
being a high
just
scoring. Yeah, please go ahead.
I'll just like to give a rundown of the teams that could possibly be third place coming into the Europa League. There's Ajax in the Group A with the Napoli and Liverpool at the top right now. The club B, there's Group B, that is Club Brugge one, which they are now winning. They are 9 points clear at the top, 3 wins. They have in their group Porto, Leverkusen, and Atletico Madrid. So any of these is a very strong side coming into the Europa League. Right now, Atletico Madrid at the bottom with Leverkusen on a third, but Atletico Madrid are on level on points with Leverkusen, so they could very well be third by the end of it all. There's Barcelona with the Group C with Inter and Bayern at the top. The Group D has Tottenham, Sporting, and Frankfurt, and Marseille at the fourth. So any of these four teams coming into the Europa League is a threat. There's Group E with Milan at the third position. There's Group F with Shakhtar Donetsk on third, and Leipzig and Real Madrid on the top. City, Dortmund, Sevilla at third in Group G. Group H has Juventus in third, Benfica and PSG on top. So these are all very strong sides. I do feel that every group has a side that could possibly cause problems coming third, and I think United are well off if they finish top of the group. You're absolutely right there, Anshuman. But do I think there's a chance they will? I don't think we're going to finish top of the table. If I am to be very honest, because United are still building. This is not a side that is looking well drilled into a system. Sociedad look very well when they play, especially with their tactics. They know how to nick results, and for United, although they played a really good game against Everton, I think especially mentally, where they were able to hold on to the lead coming back from 1-0 down. I do believe that United need more of these, or more of Ten Hag's tactics to be implemented quickly, but that is not going to happen that easily. So I do believe that United are going to be in trouble coming if we want to progress in the Europa League. Let's talk about predictions now, and this is the final segment. Do you have anything else to add on regarding United before the predictions, or we'll go with the predictions for now?
I think that
Anshuman, Wali,
handball
anyone?
against Martinez against Real Sociedad can turn out to be costly. It was just a game of fine margins, and it wasn't a handball. And we've seen some really bad officiating against United this season. Hope that doesn't continue because once if you're building a team, you also need a bit of luck, and with that
Even
you need
that
yes,
Rashford one. Yeah, I almost forgot that Rashford handball.
Mm.
Although I now see that by the book, if it touches the hand, it should be a handball before going into the net. But do you think that's fair? Because that was nowhere his intention. He didn't get any benefit from the ball touching his hand. Do you think this rule will change? Because we have seen this time and time again. There have been different instances where players have outrightly pulled their hand away and it has been away from their body and the ball is at them and the handball has not been given, but the Rashford one was given. Anshuman, I'd like to talk to you first because I think I know Wali's answer regarding this. How do you feel about the Rashford handball that was given against Everton?
Well, it wasn't fair to begin with, but then neither are those offsides where players are caught offside by 1 millimeter, which is more and more going to be the case because the offsides are not being automated. So the reason that this goal, the hand touching while a goal is being scored, is just clear cut handball and is ruled out. The reason that is the case is because the referees are trying to reduce the amount of subjectivity that is included in this whole thing as much as possible. Because if you decide that okay, let's leave this to the referees, let's let them decide whether it's fair enough or it's not unfair enough, then you open yourself up to a debate that will never end, and then we'll have every single goal being discussed to the very end, and then we will again have a discussion about how the referees are not good enough to look at this, how the VAR is not good enough to look at this, and all that. So that is why this rule exists in the first place, to remove that subjectivity, and that brings with itself a certain degree of unfairness. And it is what it is. I don't think that it can be eliminated, because if anyone else has a better alternative as to for this rule, then I'm all ears. But that is the thing about rules. At some point, it's you start questioning whether the rule has any point, whether it is any fair to the player. No, it's not. But the rules exist there to homogenize the situation, to make sure that everyone is playing by the set of same rule book, and that these kind of issues that can be debated upon for years to come are reduced as much as possible, which is why this offsides are now being automated, so that even if it's a 1 millimeter offside, it's offside. When we talk about the goals, we don't when we talk about the goals and the goal line technology, we don't really discuss how unfair it is that the ball did not go into the net by like 1 millimeter. We say how unlucky it is, but we don't really talk about goal line technology being eliminated. So it's just one of those things that this is a rule that is very unfair for most of the players that are scoring goals, and their hand just happens to be there. But again, it is what it is. It's making the rules objective while keeping humans in charge of refereeing the game. And I don't see this changing. It is unfair. If it happens in a big game and if it happens against your team, you are outraged and you will cry about it. I understand that. I sympathize with it. I do the same thing when it happens. So, but it is what it is. There is no alternative. And until we find ourselves an alternative, it's going to be this way. And I would much rather have
I'm
it
not
this way.
saying
Yeah. Okay.
I was not talking about this particular thing being eliminated. What I
Mhm.
was talking about that there are uh, how should I put this? There are dissimilarities in the way these decisions are being made throughout the games that happen. If a
Yeah,
weekend
that is
has
a
having
problem.
10 games,
That is a problem.
I will
One of
move
the
to more of
biggest.
that because I know that technology is the future and this is going to continue. For I am very much with the technology. I want it to continue and
Mhm.
I want the goal line technology to be there. I want VAR to be there. It's just that I think there should be a more clear cut guideline for the referees where there is examples like this, and I think this will improve with time only. With
Mhm.
time the referees would get acclimatized to it better. There'll be harmony in the decision making. There'll be they'll be more synchronized with every game. But what I
Mhm.
feel is that there is a sharp difference in the way decisions are being made from game to game, and that's where the human factor is coming in. There is positive to it, but a lot of negatives are being there. I see how referees operate a game is different. Some referees just let it slide sometimes, and others put a card out or give a warning and give a foul, and that is fair. I believe that every referee has the right to do these decisions where they can operate in their own mechanism. What I have a problem with is that these key decisions, at least, where it could decide the game. in the favor of a team or another, these should be synchronized at least with the referees.
Or at least there should be an idea of consistency. Because if you use another
Yeah,
example of this very same week, Gianluca Scamacca of West Ham scored a goal with
yeah,
his hand,
yes,
and his
yes,
hand was
yes,
involved in it.
yes.
And he scored the
That's
goal.
what
He
I
did
was
not
saying.
celebrate. He looked around. He looked around, and he was expecting the ball to be given off. Then eventually VAR checked it and then gave the goal anyway. So even if we are talking about this
That is what I'm saying.
very one decision in which objectivity needs to be
Yeah.
maintained, just be consistent.
Mhm.
If touching a hand
Yes,
means it's no goal, then it's okay, it's no goal, but at least make that a case that it exists with everyone. We are having these inconsistencies in
that is what
yeah,
my point was. The
yeah.
inconsistencies need to get reduced a lot, because if the technology is entered into the game, that is entered because these decisions are to be made more obvious rather than the fans questioning the decisions more often
Yeah,
than not, and
yeah.
that has been the case. So that is what I feel. I think that's it regarding this. Let's get away with the predictions, and then we can close off this episode. Anshuman, I'll go with you. What are your predictions for this particular game, the
I
Europa League?
worry it might end up in a nil-nil draw. But I just have a feeling that we will not put out our strongest team, and Omonia going into the last 30 minutes of the game might be able to stick out and eke a draw. I hope it doesn't happen, but I have a feeling it might.
Wally, what do you feel is going to be the score by the end of it all?
I'm confident. I think I saw enough in the last game. I did see that we had a lot of chances. We were just not clinical. I feel that we're going to be clinical in this game and we are going to seal it. I think it's going to be 3-0 in favor of United.
Okay, mm, I do think that we are going to have problems because we are not having many senior players in the team for this particular game. We're going to play a second string side that is if that is to be set for the side that is going to play against Omonia, and I believe we're still going to win it. I think that they had an advantage in their home game, and that's what played in their favor. If they were not able to beat it in that condition, I don't think they're going to beat us at Old Trafford or even get a draw. I don't think they are going to do it. Although they are a dogged side, and these sides United have a tendency to not get the results against sides like these. I do believe we can nick at least a 1-0 or 2-0. I do think at least a 1-0 or 2-0. I'll go with a 2-0. I'll go with a 2-0 in here. So yeah, 2-0 from me. And Wali, what is your prediction?
3-0.
3-0 for Wali and a 0-0 for Anchuman. But nobody has said that Omonia will score. If they
Good
score
thing.
first, we'll be the first ones to get slandered among us. Okay. So yeah, that's it. I think. Any last thoughts regarding United or anyone? Wali,
I
hopefully
think that's
Marshall will be fit for the Newcastle game. I think that
I
is the
think even
plan.
if he's fit, he might be on the bench. I think it's best to just wait for him to be 100%, 200% fit and play Ronaldo for now because he is actually playing really well, Ronaldo. And I think it's time for Ten Hag to trust him now. So yeah, although like I am really looking forward to the Newcastle game because Newcastle look like a completely different team now since last season, and I'm quite excited for
Yeah.
that. So it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Anshuman, any final thoughts?
No, not regarding Manchester United. No.
Okay. So
About
that's it
anything
from our
else?
side.
Hmm.
What are we talking about? What are your thoughts?
Regarding what?
You said not
You were
about
saying no, not
Manchester United
regarding.
now. So
I
about
mean,
anything else?
What are your thoughts?
so if randomly you want to talk about something at the end, I think as football fans, it is incumbent upon us that, given that we are discussing this on social media, that we at least talk about the whole Iker Casillas Carlos Puyol thing, because I think that
Yeah.
Casillas has tried to eke out of the situation by saying that his account was hacked. I have no legal way to say that it was or it wasn't, but that whole affair really just once again showed that even in the among the greatest circles, in the people that are supposed to be these role models, how little information is there, how little awareness is there regarding how important these matters are, and to not joke about them. So it was just really very embarrassing, worrying, because Jack Daniels, he recently came out. He was the first UK player in 30 years to do so, and there's a reason why it's big deal when it should not be in 2022. And it just really it just infuriated me, and I thought it is something that needs to be brought up because it's not a joke that should be made under any circumstances. So yeah, that is that. I just hope that
Do
it
you
does not.
think? Do you think it was a joke, or do you think it was something he tweeted, and then the brands and his managers and everyone called upon, and he saw the homophobia under his post, and then he deleted it?
I think that did happen because the press in Spain was really stalking him closely and was quite openly, publicly talking about his dating life. So maybe he thought this was a tongue in cheek comment, and even Carlos Puyol came and replied to his comment and say, let's tell everyone our story. And there's a part of you that is thinking, okay, is there a big turnaround? Is there a big plot twist that we never saw coming? And is this going to be a wholesome story? No, it's just a fucking joke. And that was really embarrassing because these are players who are regarded as the very best of their time, if not all time, and they are role models. They have the kind of following that really, that really dictate minds, that really tell people how to feel and think. And for them to be able to joke about this and the kind of backlash that they are getting, I think it is very much warranted because
I
this is
think
not something
it's
that.
I think that less the joke might not be that of big of a deal. The what is shocking is the reactions that poured in after that
Yeah,
tweet was made. That
yeah,
could have been taken in a very different light. I think what must have triggered you and many people must be that there is a culture regarding uh, a serious case of homophobia being very visibly shown on the internet, and especially Twitter. I feel Twitter is one of the worst places to be on the internet. It is absolute scum of the earth behavior you can see on Twitter when things get filthy. And yeah, I feel that could have been taken in a very different light, but it's just that it showed us a side that we still have a very long way to go regarding people being a little more sophisticated about things, a little more what you can say, a little more compassionate, a little more welcoming, a little more not going out of your way to hate on someone for things that it really don't bother you that much. So yeah, I feel that the if even if it was a joke, I don't have a problem with the joke itself. It's just that the reaction of the people that was there, I was it not. I won't say that I was infuriated because very few things infuriate me right now. It's just that I was sad by seeing the kind of reactions that people had to make. Even because as friends, even if they made a joke regarding the media and everything, this could have been taken in a very different manner. And we see this on Twitch many a times that uh, they are, and this actually tries to normalize a homosexual relationship or a relationship of partners who have a different sexual preference. It tries to normalize that, but people took it in a very different route, and that is what saddened me the most. I think we need. I think there is still a long way to go, and this is sad that not this is not India or some country, a third world country, where you can say, okay, they are backward people, or they still are very much rooted in their old culture, and they don't want to see. This is like Europe, one of the most modern places you can be in thought, and yeah, if that can happen on the internet for a player of their caliber, it can very much happen to a player who is playing in the lower leagues, who just cannot live closeted, and he wants to come out but he can't. And many people might as well leave the sport rather than coming out, and that is sad. So yeah, we need to do better as fans. We need to do better as people, as friends. If we see someone doing this kind of slander, I think we can at least talk to them. We can try to reason with them. We need to do better, and that I think being more compassionate is the way to go, rather than trying to go out of your way to hate on someone. Well, do you have anything to say, or
Yeah. The thing is, social media has become, it's a boon and a bane at the same time. Once you do say out something, they are like, it's a given. There are going to be people who are going to say some good things, but it's also a given there will be plenty more who will be saying a lot of crude, a lot of conflicted things. That is exactly what happened in that. And like Anshuman had pointed it out, it was basically on Casillas' dating life, and they were linking it with a lot of ladies. And at the end of the day, you might say he's Iker Casillas, but at the end of the day, he's also a guy, and he just wanted to have some harmless fun. But little did he know that it was going to turn into a shitstorm for him. And I have no idea why Puyol joined in, but that was weird. But anyways, so yeah, you just have to, let live, and you have to let people live their lives. You cannot
Live and
basically
let live.
be,
That should be the
yeah,
motto.
live and let live.
Not, yeah.
Yeah.
Anshuman, I think that's it. Do you have anything to add?
No, 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 nothing to add to it. No.
Okay, so I think that's that for us at One United, and we hope that we see more football and more compassion in football, more compassion amongst the fans, amongst people, and we hope to see some good football in the coming days, coming months, coming years. That's it from our side of United for this episode. It's me, Paratosh Joshi, Wali Siddiqui, and Anshuman Joshi signing off. We'll see you again very, very soon. Bye bye.